I'm glad you're with me for my spiritual mindfulness moment together. Get some coffee if you like, and I'll just share something a little bit inspirational, and then we will have a time of meditation and contemplation together, connecting our spirits together. And that's what we do on Wednesday mornings. I was off for about 3 weeks because I was doing a writing project and sort of rewriting my website and reorganizing my work. And so I'm glad to be back with you today. Sorry, I'm looking at my Bible passage too, my inspirational passage. So let me know where you're joining from. Where are we hanging out together from today? I just speak blessing over you, blessing over your week. Thank you, Jameson, for that kind word. Come in and join me. Let me know, just post in the comments where you're joining from so I know that you're here. And we'll do this. So get comfortable and just be ready to receive today, to understand you're a spiritual being as well as a physical being and an emotional being. And we'll be in touch with all of that today. Hi, Paul from Virginia. Good to see you. Hi, Ohio, Orlando, Florida, the Chicago area. All right. Let me put up some of my music here. I can't see around all my cameras. Yeah, this is the time we get together each week and we just share a time of introspection together. Yeah, as I said, I'm an atheist, but enjoy hearing what people have to say. Awesome, thank you. Hi, Chicago area, glad you're here. Hi, Ricardo on YouTube, glad you're here from New Bedford, Mass. Well, as an atheist, Jameson, you're welcome to stay. I use the Christian Bible and Christian inspiration for these moments, but I don't believe you have to be a Christian to enjoy them with us. It is a spiritual moment, and so maybe as an atheist, you don't have a space for the divine, and so you can do this as a meditation if you like, or if you're not a big fan of spiritual or Christian activities, I totally get that too. So it's up to you, but I'm glad you're here, and I thank you for your kind words. Yeah, so I just speak blessing over this moment of us together. And again, if you're just joining, I love it if you let me know where you're joining from. And we'll just share our time of contemplative moment. My dog is looking so cute this morning, hanging out. So blessing, blessing, blessing over this moment. I have some incense burning for an aroma and smoke that I just see as an aroma from heaven that's creating an atmosphere for contemplation and connection to the divine, and smoke that's symbolic of our prayers, our hopes, our joys, going to heaven, connecting heaven and earth at this moment. Hi, Napa, California. Glad you're here. Hi, Hail Satan. That's awesome. I'm glad you have that, but just right at this moment, we're not going to be in that space. Yeah. I never quite have understood why people have to come onto a live and just like throw something in and try to be provocative like that. I don't know if does it make you feel like a big man? Is it like when we were kids and we would dial up somebody on the phone and say, do you have Bud in a can? And then, tell them they better let him out. Or is your refrigerator running? You better catch it. I mean, when I was 6, that was hilarious. When you're an adult, I don't get it. Do you go tell all your friends, yeah, I trolled on this guy's live on TikTok? And I don't know. I mean, is it arousing? And you I don't get it, but some people do. Yeah. So good morning, North Carolina. Good morning. I love it when you guys let me know where you're from, so we're connected by place. Yeah. Hi, Oklahoma. Glad you're here. Yeah. Don't feed the trolls. Okay, I won't feed the trolls. So yeah, this is our spiritual mindfulness moment where I bring a little bit of encouragement. Hi, Arizona. Glad you're with us. And we just do some contemplation for about the next half hour. Then I'll be glad to answer questions and interact with you for a little bit after that. Jameson, I appreciate you coming and visiting, and good luck in your work in your attic. Yeah, so I'll answer questions and interact with you guys when we get finished with our spiritual time together. But okay, just take a deep breath in this moment. Like, I like to have prayer beads because they help me focus. And so I just think blessing for my kids, for my wife, for my family, for my household, for my business. Yeah. Max Ariano says, medicine man from the Seneca Nation. Love it. Beautiful. I'm so glad you're here. So as the incense flows up to heaven, creates an atmosphere with an aroma, I just call that connection to heaven for you and me today. That even as I see the name scroll on the comments, that my spirit can start to reach out from my body and be connected to your spirit and your spirit to mine. Yeah. You guys, I'll be glad to answer your questions when we're finished with our contemplative time. But just get a sense of that you're a spiritual being, that you're an eternal spiritual being from heaven contained in this finite container of a body. And so just have a sense that spirit can actually come out of your body, is actually bigger than your body, and loves to connect to the spirit of others. I share my energy, my hope, my blessing with you, and you do the same with me. And we do it with each other through this mystical process of understanding the spiritualness of who we are. And again, if you're just joining, I'd love for you just to put in the comments where you're joining from. Yeah. So we just pray for the blessings of heaven to come into this moment, to bring shalom, to bring a wholeness, a moment not just without conflict, but with a wholeness and understanding of who we're created to be. And so that we can be connected together in this moment. So I want to read a little inspiration from the Christian Bible, just a little bit of an inspiring story. Because one of the things I see so many people have to wrestle with is the idea of shame. And that religion, for many of us that grew up in religion, the idea was really based on shame. Can I be good enough so that God would bless me, so that God would protect my children from a car accident? Can I be good enough so that I can pray that my kid will do well in sports and they'll do well? And if they don't do well, it's because I haven't prayed enough. I haven't read the Bible enough. I'm not good enough. And I just want to release you from anything like that today, any religious training that taught you that God is a judge in heaven looking down saying, are you good enough today? Boy, my smoke is attacking me as it's going to heaven. So we have this story in the Christian Bible in the book of John, chapter 4. And I'll just read a portion from it, and then I'll share just a little bit as we go into our contemplative time. It says, a woman from Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, give me a drink. So let me tell you something. A woman from Samaria, a Samaritan woman in the Bible, was considered a second-class human being. Now, Jesus was a Jewish person, and the Jewish people were an oppressed people. They were oppressed by the Romans who had overtaken their country. And then the Jews turned around and were oppressors of the Samaritans. So here was a Samaritan woman coming to the well to draw water in this community. And so normally when a Samaritan woman would come around, not only because she was a Samaritan, but because she was a woman who was even a lower class of citizen in those days, she would have to avoid Jesus. And now here he is, a rabbi. And a Jewish rabbi, says to a Samaritan woman, "Give me a drink." He engages with her. Talking with her was a violation not only of his position as a rabbi, but as a Jewish man. And he engages with her and says, "Give me a drink." And all his crew was gone at that moment away from him. And so she says, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for a drink from me, a woman of Samaria? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans." And Jesus answered her and said, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is that's saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him to give you living water." So they have this interesting interaction. And then in verse 16, Jesus says to her, "Go call your husband and come here." And the woman answered, "I have no husband." And Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you now have is not your husband. What you've said is true." So many Christians read this passage and think, oh, Jesus is condemning her because she's been divorced 5 times, and divorce was considered a really terrible thing. Of course, women had no choice in the matter if they got divorced. Only the man could decide if divorce would happen, and if he decided, it happened, and the woman had no say. And so it's like, oh, he's condemning her for being divorced 5 times and now living with a man to whom she's not married. But this wasn't condemnation. This was Jesus telling her something about her that he couldn't have known if he hadn't heard it from something divine. And we know that she didn't feel condemned by what Jesus says, because we can see it in the text. The next verse says, "The woman said to him, 'Sir, I perceive that you're a prophet.'" She didn't say, "Oh my God, I'm so ashamed. You're right. My life is terrible. I need to change it," as many evangelicals would say she should. She says, "Wow, for you to know that, you must be a prophet." That's incredible what just happened. And she starts to have this conversation with him about the Messiah, about worship. And then ultimately the story ends in verse 29. And it says, "The woman left her water jar and went away into town and said to the people, 'Come see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ?' And they went out of the town and were coming to him." So what we have happening here is this incredible story of Jesus engaging with a woman, a Samaritan woman, who on many levels he should not be even looking at or be willing to look at or talk to. He's engaging her in conversation. He tells her something miraculously that he knew about her life. And she says, "Wow, you're a prophet." And they have this conversation. And at the end of that conversation, she goes and rallies the people that she knows from the town and says, "Come meet this man who told me everything I've ever done." This isn't a story of a woman being shamed. She lived in shame. We know by the story that she was drawing water at a time when women didn't go draw water. You didn't go draw water from the well for the household because they didn't have running water in the houses. So you would draw the water from the well and take it to the household. And they wouldn't go in the middle of the day when it was hot. They would go late in the day when it was cooling off. And they would do it together because it was a community activity. The women would connect in relationship. But this was an outcast woman in an outcast community. And she was at the well alone. And Jesus engages her and says, "Hey, I want to tell you something about yourself." And at the end of that interaction, she says to everybody around her, "Come meet this man." She had no shame. The crew of people that she had been avoiding by coming to the well in the heat of the day, she went and grabbed them and said, "Come meet this man. Could he be this Messiah that we've all been looking for?" The shame of her life was broken by a person willing to engage with her when others wouldn't engage. That is the story of Christ and Christianity. It's been perverted by people who say the story is be better, be good enough for God. That is not the message of Jesus of the Bible. The message is, wow, what you just said to me makes me feel connected to the divine at this moment, and I'm going to get my friends to come meet you. And so today, my friends on TikTok and YouTube, anything religion has told you makes you not good enough, take a deep breath and just say, that's not true of me today. I don't need to be better for God to care about the well-being of my kids. I don't need to be better for the divine and heaven to connect with me. I am good just as I am. And knowing that identity brings us into the presence of heaven so that we can be drawn to our better self. So with that encouragement, with all shame being let go, wherever, if you feel shame anywhere in your body, anxiety, anything right now in your mind that's saying, whoa, this can't be true. This is different than what I've heard from my religion. Take a deep breath in through your nose, let it out through your mouth, and let all that anxiety, all that shame, all of that religious oppression go. I am not ashamed. I am good. I'm who I'm created to be. And who I'm created to be is good. We let it go. So now feel that being like a moisture to your soul today, to your spirit. Feel yourself as a spiritual being this morning. Look at the names on the screen. Think of the names of people all over the country, all over the world, perhaps, that are watching on TikTok and YouTube today. And just have a sense of your spirit being connected with those spirits. Yeah. And just let that goodness of heaven connect with your soul. So let your spirit start to see a space where you can connect to the divine. What I often recommend is in your spirit, in your imagination, see yourself in a safe space, a place where you sit and can be connected to the divine. For many, it might be a space outside where you can love and see nature. It might be a room where you were safe and had moments where your soul connected to something bigger than you. Take a deep breath and picture yourself in that space at this moment. Some of you may need to close your eyes, some not. What does it feel like as our souls are connected to go to this safe space? I can always see myself sitting on this diving board at this pond that we lived by when I was young. That was just a space I was able to connect with God. And in my spirit, I just go there right at this moment. I feel that connection with the divine. Just feel yourself spiritually understanding your connection to something bigger than the universe at this moment. Can you see yourself there? Just sit there for a moment. Feel the wind on your face. Feel the peace. Feel the atmosphere of that space around you. And now imagine something of the divine. It might be God in your spiritual belief system. It might be just something of heaven. It might be something supernatural. Whatever your vision of God or heaven or the goodness of heaven would be, imagine that presence, that being of God being with you in your safe space at this moment. Like Jesus sitting with that woman at the well. And there's nothing to be ashamed of if that presence starts to bring to mind things of your life. It's so that the shame of those things can be released in this moment and you not have to carry the anxiety of shame anymore. So just contemplate this moment, sitting in your safe space in your spirit, sitting with the divine of heaven. Feel perfect love loving you right now, just as my spirit reaches out to you in love. Feels wonderful to feel loved. It's not often we get to feel that during the day sometimes. So, what do you need to ask the Spirit of heaven as you're sitting with that goodness of heaven, that Spirit of heaven? Just ask, what do you need to know? Am I good? Am I going to make it through the day? Am I going to survive these tough moments? Are my kids going to be okay? What do you need to ask the Spirit of heaven today? Just let it resonate in your spirit as you sit in that safe space. Ask your question and then just sit and listen and see what the answer is from the Spirit of heaven. I bless you to hear from the Spirit of heaven today. And it's okay if you don't sense being with the Spirit of heaven or you don't hear anything, then just let this be a moment of peace, a moment of shalom for you. But ask your question of heaven. Deep cleansing breath. Let it out. Contemplating this moment of sitting and feeling the love of the goodness of heaven with you. Now let gratefulness start to permeate your spirit. Gratefulness that you've had this moment, that shame and anxiety were released, and just let your spirit resonate throughout heaven. Gratefulness for this moment of being connected to heaven and being connected together. Yeah, and then just let your spirit come back into your body. Reconnecting with your physiology and your personal self. being grateful to each other for connecting our spirits together in this beautiful, beautiful moment of love for one another in a shame-free moment. All right. We bless this moment, heaven, as we put out our incense. Amen. Amen. Well, I would love it now if you might share in the comments what was that moment like for you? What did you hear from heaven? And yeah, what did you hear? Were you able to release shame and feel the peace of that moment? It's okay not to share if it was very personal, but I would love if you're willing to share on YouTube or TikTok what you heard. A peaceful moment for Marvas. Where does our Creator dwell? Do you teach men and women that? I don't. I think it's not important. I think it's more important to have the Spirit dwell in us. Max Ariano says, soft and serene, warm Father, Son, and Mother Moon whispered, everything is okay. That's beautiful. Patio 2125 says, I heard I am safe. I am never alone. Oh, that's beautiful, Patio. I'm glad you heard that. Yeah, I heard like God considering all these parts and aspects of my personality and said, I really love who you are and every aspect of who you are, even in your bad moments. I just think you're really amazing and wonderfully made in this part of me. That is very important, all in caps. Okay, good. Great. Topaz says, Pastor, comma. Yeah, what do you want to ask? Thank you for this. I needed it today, says Patio. You're welcome. Great, unique country girl. Thank you for your judgment and condemnation this morning. Topaz hears you are safe. Yeah. Yeah, it's so sad how Christianity brings shame and condemnation over little parsings of words and verbiage. And my moment here and my point for all of you is to be released from shame and judgment and be connected directly to heaven, just as Jesus said he came to do in the Bible. And you see how religion tweaks that for people. So they not only do they feel condemnation and shame, they have to bring condemnation and shame for others. And it's really sad to see people trapped in that religious mindset. The Lego Prof. I only caught the last moments. I have been struggling. Thanks for helping me to stop and reflect. This is, by the way, it'll be preserved on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, which you can see in the link tree in my bio. And if you go to YouTube, it'll be preserved and you can watch it anytime you want, or other ones from the past. Yeah, that's right. Volksian. Religion puts people in a box. Yes, it does. And you saw this poor woman, unique country girl, had to come on and condemn because she has to please God and be the one carrying God's condemnation for God. And it's really sad. It's a real corruption of the message of Jesus. So I'm sorry she feels she has to carry that condemnation and judgment, because that's a heavy weight to carry. How do I know? Because I've carried that weight and judgment of people much of my life. So I have about 10 minutes left. If you want to ask anything, if you want to share what you heard from heaven in this morning. And again, no, you're welcome, Lego Prof. I'm glad you were here and I'm glad you were encouraged. That means so much to me. Again, you can go watch the entire event on YouTube. Are you familiar with the works of A.T. Fominko? No, I'm not. Is it good? Yeah. By the way, for those of you, you can help support my work. I don't do not-for-profit fundraising because I want to have a for-profit work that I do. I don't take up tithes and tell people you'll be blessed if you give me $1,000 or your kid will be healed if you give me money. I just say, hey, subscribe to my Patreon or give me a gift through Venmo. And I am a for-profit business, so you don't get a tax write-off, but you get the gift of being generous and helping say, I love your message, Pastor Paul, and I want to help. And so if you're on YouTube, you see the QR codes to be a subscriber to my Patreon page, or you see my Venmo where you can give a gift through Venmo. The value says you should look by yourself. I look pretty much by myself, except for my dog snoring over in the chair over there. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I'm assuming that you're trying to condemn me, but I just had my mindfulness moment and it's going to be pretty difficult to condemn me right now. Just want to let you know. Thank you for the follow, though. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you ask if it is good, the works of Flamenco. Oh, I'm sorry, the value. Oh, okay. My bad. Forgive me. You should look by yourself. Well, I'm just asking you if your opinion of it is good. Would you say a blessing for my superhero charity kids group? Yeah, bless the work of your heart and the passion of your soul. November 13th. Oh, how sweet. Well, I hope you just have an amazing time with those kids. And we do speak blessing and our heart's connection to your event. Yeah. So just know, let me just finish up that moment. If you can go to my Patreon page, if you go to my bio in TikTok and click on the link tree, you can subscribe to my Patreon page to help support the work that I do, or you can give a gift by Venmo. And also I have a deconstruction U, we call it deconstruction U, a discussion group coming up a week from Sunday. We're going to take the 9 major issues of deconstructing your faith and have a discussion group around those. There is a cost to that to help support the work that I do. But if you would like to join, if you're walking through deconstruction and you're like, how do I wrestle with some of these questions of like, what is hell? How do I read the Bible correctly? Did God have to beat the hell out of Jesus to keep us from going to hell? What about gay marriage and abortion? How should I relate to those things? What does the Bible say about them? If you have questions like those, come join my Deconstruction U group. It starts a week from Sunday. There is a cost to it, so please join. And again, if you go to the link tree in my bio, it'll be there for you to know that. Thank you, Sharon McBaron. I'm glad to be back. Max Ariano, you're welcome. So we bless your event coming up. The value says it's pretty mind-blowing. A lot of historical comparisons between Greek, Roman, Christianity, etc. Yeah, I'm even learning a lot about that still today, about the way other religions and Christianity parallel, and how many of those stories, a lot of idea that even the Jews were not monotheistic. They had adopted Yahweh as their God, but they understood there were other gods. And that the way we in evangelical Protestantism and Catholicism look at the Bible and God are really not the way biblical people understood God. And we've created that form of God. So yeah, join my Deconstruction U class. Give by subscribing on Patreon and Venmo. And by the way, your gift is not tax deductible because I pay taxes for the money I bring in. Rosie says on YouTube, sometimes I will put on live webcams of certain beaches. This takes me to my safe place, and I know that even when I am angry, my creator still loves me and tells me to continue to move forward. That's beautiful, Rosie. Thank you. So anybody else have a question? Have a thought from our quiet time? By the way, Rosie and her husband Curtis gave me my prayer beads that I love so much. And look, Rosie, I got to show you. This is the oil that you gave me the other day. It's beautiful. I love it. I keep it all on my prayer altar that I have here in my office. And it's really wonderful. So yeah, anybody have any other thoughts or questions you want to share before we move on to our day? Again, if you're just joining us, this is our spiritual mindfulness moment, a time of introspection and reflection and mindfulness. Just another Jamie says, Rosie, that's so nice. Yeah, Rosie and Curtis are very, very generous people. In fact, Rosie, we'll see you guys next Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it. So I just bless you for your week, the rest of your week. I just want you to know what religion has told you, that you're not enough, is a lie, that you are amazing. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. Hi, Pastor Paul. Hope you are well this morning. Thank you, Tinifer. Thoughts about tattoos. I think there are really, really beautiful tattoos that people have. I think there are tattoos that I personally think are really, really ugly. That can vary. But if a tattoo is meaningful to somebody and helps remind them something important about themselves and about their life, I think that is really a beautiful thing. And if you're asking, like, does the Bible say tattoos are sinful or evil or anything, I would say that's a complete misunderstanding of the Bible. Your bracelets remind me of Rudraksha lava bracelets. I wonder what those are. I've got a lot to learn about religions. I grew up believing there was only one right religion, and it was this really thin, small group of evangelicals from the Assemblies of God, and everybody else was wrong. So I'm learning. Justice is here from Australia. Hi, how are you, Australia? What time is it in Australia right now? Tattoos are symbolic, says Rosie. I think they meant lava rocks. There were two different comments. Somebody said, what do you think about tattoos? Yes, religions are just colors of the universe. I like that thought. What is considered bad speech to God and swearing? Bad speech, coarse language are all come from the heart. 12:54 p.m. Good afternoon, Australia. So saying shit, there's nothing wrong with saying shit. When you understand, when Jesus was on earth, there was no word shit. It didn't exist. And so there's no way that the 10 commandments, which were written thousands of years before Jesus was on earth, we're saying shit is inherently a bad word. I mean, that's ludicrous on its face. So coarse language that the Bible would talk about comes from the heart. Jesus said, you've heard it say, don't murder. But I say, if you call your brother a fool, you are the one worthy of hellfire. He said, you're more guilty than the murderer, because murder is coming out of your heart. So me laughing with somebody and saying, oh, shit, that's crazy, is not a sin. Me looking at somebody and saying, you're so full of shit, if it's coming out of malice of my heart, out of a desire to put that person down, that becomes then sinful because I'm violating relationship. And by the way, the verse of the 10 Commandments that says, don't take the Lord's name in vain, has nothing to do with cussing. Nothing at all to do with a bad word. That's such a corruption of the Bible from people who don't know the Bible. What that passage was saying, the reason we would say, like, God damn it, is a bad thing to say is because that commandment is saying, don't call curses from heaven down on people. So even when people say, I'm going to pray for you, that is a violation of the 10 Commandments, because what they're actually trying to do is call down a curse from heaven to manipulate you to change your thought process. So people in the South saying, bless your heart, is a curse. It is them saying, I'm going to let you know that I think you're less than me. So swearing and bad words and all that stuff is very different than what the fundamentalist, rigid, legalistic evangelical church will tell you. What are your thoughts on Adam and his first wife? The Bible is a good tool to step into different perspectives of the same written text. That's something a lot of people don't understand about the Bible. Yes, we very much can argue about the meanings and interpretations of the Bible. Rosie says storytelling is part of life. When someone corrects the story because their ears are offended, wow, that's true. Do you believe unicorns used to exist? I haven't the slightest idea. I assume no. I don't think there's ever been unicorns, but I may be wrong in that. Topaz says, thank you, because I have a problem with this. With swearing or being told that you are bad because you say swear words? Yeah. What a beautiful day. I'm honored that you would hang out with me. Don't forget, you can give me a gift through Venmo to help support the message of Pastor Paul. You can join my Patreon page. I really would appreciate it. Yeah, Topaz, don't worry about it. Just what's in your heart. Don't worry about the language from your. I wish Christians cared as much about what was in their own hearts as they worried about words that come from other people's lips. That's because they worship a God that is condemning and judgmental, a man-made God, not the true spirit of heaven. And they want you to be under the bondage of that same spirit. So I release you from the bondage of that spirit. I wholeheartedly release you from that full of shit spirit. Rosie says you are good to Topaz. And don't forget, Deconstruction U, my deconstruction discussion group starts a week from Sunday. You're welcome, Topaz. You are a good person. You are inherently good. Tap into that. Be reminded of that. Don't let anybody tell you that you're bad. Just another Jamie says, I have had real convos with God where I use curse words. He gets it. That's so good. That's beautiful. I love that. Because yes, even if you read the Psalms, it really is messages of angst and anger towards God. I wanted to show you guys that on TikTok, that you can join my Patreon page. Do you think the story of Exodus happened, and not how does that affect the origin of faith? I think there is some archaeological evidence, but I am very much in a space from the Bible where I am totally okay with the stories being allegorical, with the stories being rewritten history to try to blame God for bad acts of humanity, for being an ancient people trying to explain what God looks like. And they don't have to impact me necessarily as truth, or impact me if they're not truth. I just want to garner whatever wisdom I can from them. What's your thoughts on the aspect of God we carry within us outside of your Christian perspective? You'd probably have to tell me a little more detail, but I have certainly come to learn in the last few years of my life that Christianity doesn't hold all truth of who God is. And even Christians, if we really believe the God we say we believe in, we would know that that God is bigger than our little religion that we created. And we wouldn't be so hung up on those technicalities. We would see a God that's big enough to find a Samaritan woman at the well and tell her she's good and change her life, just like Jesus did. So the idea that I, as a Christian, am the holder of all truth is really nuts. Really, 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 really nuts. Yeah, that's nice, the value. Okay, guys, I got to run. Again, if you can help support what I do, I would love it. No pressure, no tithe demand, no telling you that you're going to be blessed or your children healed if you give me $1,000. Just me saying, hey, if you want to help support what I do, those are the QR codes for my Venmo and my Patreon page if you want to subscribe to my Patreon page. And I would really, really appreciate it. And I will pay taxes on those dollars you give me so that I can help roads and schools and highways and dams and bridges and things like that to exist in my local region and my state. So I love you guys, and thank you, Rosie, for the gift on TikTok. All right, if you guys just joined and you missed some of this, it's preserved over on my YouTube channel. You can get that in the link tree in my bio. And don't forget, join my Deconstruction U class. If you need more information, again, it's in the link tree in my bio. Love you all. We'll see you. Bye-bye.